I hate Titans, and Titans hates me. What's up, everyone? It's me, Jrod, the filmmaker, former film major, frequent fighting gamer from Philadelphia. And this week, I'm going to talk about Titans and why I hate it. Now, I usually don't make videos about shows that I hate, but I decided to make an exception. And this isn't even my first Titans video. I actually reacted to the trailer for Titans way back before it even aired. And I was skeptical back then, but I still was interested enough to check the show out. And I watched the entire first season and half of the second season, but then I just stopped because I wasn't enjoying it and I felt like the show wasn't for me. But since season 3 has come back and is now on HBO Max, I've had a couple people tell me that I should check out Titans again. And so I did. And I still hate it. So this video is going to be about why I hate it. Before we get into it, can you do me a favor and hit me with a 3-hit combo? Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. It will mean a lot. Thanks, guys. And also, I just want to give a disclaimer that this video is about why I hate Titans, but I'm not going to try to convince everyone who watches this video that they should also hate Titans. If you like Titans, that is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with you as a person. I know a lot of people who like it. And I mean, the fact that it made it to season 3 means that there is a good sized audience out there who enjoys watching the show. It's just not for me. So to each their own. But now, let's get into the video. Alright, so my first problem that I have with Titans is the tone of the show. The show is way too dark and dismal. Now, I complained about this back after the first season came out, and some people misinterpreted that to say that I didn't like the violence. I don't think the show should be mature. I think it should be something closer to Teen Titans Go. But that is not my critique at all. I don't mind the violence and I don't mind the mature themes at all. I just think that the way that the show handles it and the way that the characters deal with that violence and mature themes, it needs to be fixed. I'll use an example. If you look at something like The Suicide Squad, which just came out on HBO Max, that movie is graphic, it's violent, and it's disgusting. But it's fun. It's a fun movie. It's funny. I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it so much that I've already seen it 2 times, and I would have no problem watching it a 3rd time. And even though there are some characters who do that, you know, dark DC brooding thing, there are other characters with different types of personalities, and they all start to contrast. This contrast of personalities was something that the Teen Titans cartoon did really well when it was out. You got contrast between characters like Starfire and Raven, characters like Robin and Beast Boy, Robin and Cyborg, Beast. Any 2 characters have their differences and their similarities, so that they would look at a similar situation and deal with it 2 completely different ways. And if one character was sad, it didn't mean that the entire rest of the team had to also be sad. If you look at Titans live action, even characters like Beast Boy, who is known as being just an outgoing, energetic, and fun-loving character, he doesn't really get to do much of that because he has to blend in with the rest of the edgelords on the Titans team. No one laughs or smiles or has a good time for very long, because once they do start to do those things, there's going to be some character or villain or something to come along and say, whoa, we don't do that here on Titans. And another thing, every single member of this Titans team has murdered at least one person, which just strikes me as kind of weird.
Rich, open the door!
The fact that one of them, or 2 of them, some of them do heroin. I'm not going to get into that in detail, but yes, some of the Titans do heroin. Now, the next problem that I have with the show is that the character choices and the character arcs seem all over the place. You know, the characters just have these bad ideas that are really convoluted, and they just go with them. No one talks them out of these ideas. I remember more of season 2 because I just watched it and rewatched it when I was making this video. But if you pick a single character and try to follow their arc throughout the season, you'll see that it just goes everywhere. It goes up, it goes down, it goes left, it goes right. And it's not like a linear progression like you're used to with any character. For this example, I'll use Raven. So in the beginning of season 2, Raven is still dealing with her mom and dad. If you don't know who Raven's dad is, he's like this intergalactic giant goat demon thing? Yeah, so there's Trigon. So Trigon had Dick and eventually all of the other Titans under like a mind control spell, and he was about to take over the world. But Raven managed to appeal to Dick through that mind control by, going inside of his like mind palace thing and just appealing to him with something that brings out his humanity. Now, personally, and then after that, Raven uses her powers and she traps Trigon inside the gem that she holds on her forehead. Now, I had no problem with this because it's basically exactly how Raven's arc is in the comics and the cartoons. It's Raven's arc. I know it. I'm used to it. The only problem I really had was the mind control thing. I hate the trope that someone is mind controlled and you undo it just by appealing to them with some basic human knowledge about the person. And so after this, she was one of the main arcs of season 1, but after this she kind of gets shelved and she doesn't do anything important for like 3 to 4 episodes after this. And there's a lot of flashbacks to the old team and she wasn't even there, so she's not in those episodes at all. But after this, her whole arc is basically just trying to control her powers. Tries to control her powers in training, doesn't work, she snaps out on Jason. She tries to control her powers in the house, doesn't work, she basically kills Rose. Or she would have killed Rose if Rose didn't have that healing factor thing. And so after this, most of the Titans leave the house and Raven decides to leave the house with Donna Troy. But before her and Donna can get anywhere, Raven just leaves Donna Troy and goes to hang out at a homeless shelter. There she makes a new friend and she finds out, wouldn't you know it, she still can't control her powers. Then after that, her arc gets really weird and confusing for no reason until she just blends back into the narrative with the rest of the Titans. She never makes any real progress in her training or learning to control her powers. She never really makes any progress at all in this season. They basically put her arc on hold because they had a lot more characters to introduce and to add to the narrative, whether they're new or they're from the flashbacks. They basically were doing too much to actually keep up with the characters that we were caring about, and we wanted to see their arc progress. Which brings me to another problem. There are way too many people on the Titans. Way too many characters on the main team, and trying to follow all of their arcs is what makes it so overwhelming, confusing, convoluted. So the core team is, you got Dick, Raven, Corey, and Gar. That's not too much at all. That's the team we expect, or at least the size of the team we expect. But then we meet Hawk and Dove. And then we meet Jason Todd. Then we meet Donna Troy. Then we meet Connor and Crypto. Then we go back and meet Aqualad. Then we meet Rose. Then we meet Jericho. Those aren't even just side characters. All of those characters I just named, 13 of them, were all Titans at one point in either season 1 or season 2. Why introduce 13 different characters and call them Titans if they're never gonna team up together and be Titans? What was the point of that? And then you have the core 4 whose arcs are struggling because you got 9 other characters and you gotta juggle all of their arcs. And so it's like the characters we want to grow won't grow, and then we just keep introducing new characters that it's hard to care about because they probably won't get an arc either. Their arc is probably either going to be slow or stagnant like the rest of the characters. If you think about another character like Dick, who I guess arguably Dick had the most character progression of anyone between seasons 1 and 2. But then if you look at his progression, he didn't do anything but go from the fuck Batman era to the kiss up to Batman era, which is like, can you even call that growth? And then there was the Jericho Arc, which I think this was the main story of season 2. Again, it's hard to tell because the story is very convoluted. So back in the day, Deathstroke killed Aqualad in a botched assassination. The Titans had a plan for revenge, and that plan was to get to Deathstroke's son, Jericho, and squeeze him for any information he had. But what happens is the Titans find out Jericho's actually just a cool guy and he knows nothing about Deathstroke's assassination business. But he does have superpowers, the power to control another person remotely, like, just jump into their body basically from his body and make them do whatever he wants. So because of that, he gets a chance to join the Titans. And he does. But Deathstroke finds out, doesn't like that, and calls him in for a meeting. What are you doing, son? You can't join the Titans. And Dick, being Dick, follows Jericho to the meeting so that he can get the drop on Deathstroke. But Dick doesn't stop Deathstroke. He tries, and he fails, and he gets smacked around a lot by Deathstroke. And then, right when Deathstroke is like, I'm about to kill Dick Grayson, Jericho, the person who we literally just established has the superpowers to control people from afar, jumps in front of a sword. Yeah, I just had to be silent for a minute so that we can all take time to think about how dumb of an idea that was on Jericho's part. You have the superpowers to control people from a distance, and you jumped in front of a sword to save Dick Grayson. Yeah, terrible idea. So this is already a pretty stupid plot point, but the way it impacts the story moving forward makes it even more stupid. So when Dick tells this story to the entire Titans team about how Jericho died, Raven, Donna, Hawk, and Dove all leave the Titans house. Corey also leaves, but it's for a separate reason. Now, to make that leaving more redundant, Dick then also leaves the Titans house. Everyone left him, and he leaves his own house. Then he decides, hey, I'm gonna go on a vacation because I'm guilty. I can't put the Titans back together. I'm gonna take a vacation from the guild. But for some reason, on his way to wherever he wants to go, you know, he's rich like that, can go wherever he wants in the country. He decides, you know what? I feel really guilty now for something that happened years ago. I'm gonna get myself arrested. And so he does. He like beats up a cop or takes his gun or something in the airport, gets sent to jail. Why? Who knows? Because while he's in jail, he has just a random epiphany that, oh man, Jericho's not dead. He just switched bodies. And then he breaks out of jail in a scene that we didn't even see. He broke out of jail off camera. So like this entire arc is just made to seem so stupid and redundant, and literally all the choices made in response to it go nowhere. They end up doing nothing. I mean, yes, they fill up time. They take up time in the story. But as far as the narrative, is literally just different characters running in circles, going on wild goose chases to nowhere. And I'm tired of it. And also, to go back to the redundant plot point, after the Titans leave Dick, then Dick leaves Gar and Connor, then Gar leaves Connor and Crypto, then Connor leaves Crypto, but they all come back together later and it's just why? Why did you write all of those dumb plot points, redundant, doing the same thing 7 times over, and then none of it means anything because they all just come back together randomly? And then there's the fact that out of the 11 active characters, the villain for season 2, Deathstroke, is not even a real credible threat. Like, if we're being honest, this version of Deathstroke couldn't beat Donna, Troy in a one-on-one, couldn't beat Corey or Raven or Beast Boy, couldn't beat most of the team if they just went and fought. So why didn't they just pick 3 random Titans members, go and take Deathstroke out in a day, and then get back to whatever they were doing? I mean, there's this whole arc of, oh, he's so dangerous, he's killed Titans before. He's only dangerous because you keep letting him fight the most normal, non-powered people on your team. Jason Todd and Dick Grayson. Have him fight someone who he can't beat. I really don't get it. And before you say, oh, but it's Slade, you know, it's Deathstroke, he's a mastermind, he has a healing factor, he can't be taken out so easily. He does. He gets just stabbed. He gets stabbed one time in the chest and he's dead by Rose, his daughter. So then literally this entire saga, this back and forth, this cat and mouse game that's been going on for years, there was no point. All you had to do was pull up and give anyone a sword and they could have taken out Deathstroke. And then finally, the final thing, I thought that was all the complaints I had for this show. They finally defeated Slade. They finally, I didn't explain this, but also Connor and Gar end up getting mind controlled by Cadmus. So they had to do that mind control thing from season 1 all over again, where you appeal to them and you tell them you know them personally, and they're like, whoa, my mind controlling doesn't work. So they do that stupid trope over again for the season 2 finale, and everything seems like it's done, it's conquered. All the bad guys are beat, all the Titans are no longer guilty, and they're all together and they're kind of happy. So I'm sure we're gonna move into season 3 and everyone is finally gonna be happy-go-lucky. They're not gonna be afraid to smile and tell jokes, and they're gonna come together as a team and a family, and it's gonna be great, and the mood is gonna completely change. No, not at all. After all this, Donna Troy just catches a stray for no apparent reason, absolutely no reason. She sits there and dies while the rest of her 10 teammates just sit there and watch, like, oh, damn, Donna. And what takes her out? What do you think it is that killed her? I mean, they survived Trigon. They survived Dr. Light, Deathstroke, Cadmus, and Donna dies to some carnival equipment, to some metal. Are you kidding? To some technology. Like, are you kidding me? Donna Troy, one of the most powerful people on their team, and they take her out in the stupidest way. And that's not even the worst part. I could have forgiven, you know, killing a character off in a dumb way. The worst part is that now all of the characters have an excuse to take the brooding, sad, grieving, just edgelord fest that has been season 1 and season 2. Now they have an excuse to do that again in season 3. I'm pretty sure that the sad and stagnant character development and the just dark and dismal edgelord tone, I'm sure is going to come back in season 3. That is why I'm not going to be watching season 3. So that is basically it. That's everything. I could actually write a whole nother video. I could do this again with the amount of complaints I had about Titans season 1 and 2, but I feel like that's enough. You guys understand why I hate the show and why I think it hates me, because I gave it the benefit of the doubt and I watched it again and I held out because, hey, maybe it'll get better, maybe they'll start to do. No, it literally just does all the plot points that make me mad. But that's gonna be it for this one, guys. Like I said in the beginning, if you're a fan of Titans, it's perfectly fine. Nothing is wrong with you as a person. I mean, come on, I used to be a big fan of like The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow and those shows, and I fully I recognize that those shows were also bad, like the same amount of bad. The writing and acting can be really cheesy, but even still, you can still enjoy something, you know, even if the writing is bad, even if the acting is cheesy. So I do understand that. But that is all of my thoughts on Titans seasons 1 and 2. Maybe if this video does great, maybe I'll consider watching season 3, because I don't mind a little self-torture when it's in the form of a DC TV show on HBO Max. So guys, that's gonna be it. Just go ahead and tell me how you felt about Titans season 1 and 2. You already know how I feel. I don't think it's better than the Teen Titans cartoon or even Teen Titans Go for that matter. But hey, who knows? Tell me how you feel. Tell me if you like the show. Tell me if you feel me, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.
But you got a big mouth.
Yes, sir. It's
Son
your boy.
You!
Yes, sir.
How did you do that?
It's your boy.
Wolfdog! Come and get me, you common piece of crap!
Yo,
Okay,
Crypto, why you letting
doing
do
your
you
way.
like